Good morning, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an amazing, awesome, super show for you today. And how do I know this? Because I've been talking backstage with our guests, and we have been having a wonderful time. I am so excited about getting the conversation started. But before I do that, do you know what I want you to do? You know what I want you to do, because I ask you every day, weekdays at 8 a.m. to do the same thing. And that is, we need you to be a pest on behalf of Sharifa Hardy. I need you to go over to your roommate. I need you to go next door. I need you to go call your mom, whoever it is, and let them know that Roundtable Talk Show is live on Facebook. We are answering questions. We're taking comments from you. So go ahead and tell your friends, because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're doing your job, I'm going to go ahead and do my job. And that is to introduce today's guest. I'm going to start with someone who I feel is an old friend by now. You've seen her before. You've been entertained by her stories. And sometimes I feel like she's just here for moral support, because on our first show, I was a little nervous back in April, and she gave me a virtual hug and some support I'll never forget. So I'm here. I'm so excited that she's here today. Nicole Middendorf, and she is a money maven. She is a knowledge junkie and a certified divorce financial analysis. Nicole, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back.
It's a blast. It's always a great conversation.
That was my question. It's like, what brings you back? I love asking returning guests, why do you return? They give me such interesting answers.
I've learned over the years just to trust your gut and follow your intuition. And I've learned that things happen for a reason, and you meet people for a reason. And so there's just always opportunities that come across my desk where I'm for some reason, I feel compelled to be involved and participate. So that is why I'm here.
Now, you always have such interesting information. I want to start off by talking about one of my favorite items that you have, which is the Family 401k Fund, because I have a list of questions for you after we talk about that. So can you explain that to us, please?
Yeah, so this is just a teaching tool that we came up with, and we make them, we sell them on our website. But we started this because people are so overwhelmed with teaching and talking to their kids about money. And a lot of it comes from parents not necessarily having confidence themselves about money. And so we came up with this tool so that when kids could learn some of the terms, as well as a tool that takes that intimidation out of it for parents to talk to their kids about money. And so the concept behind it is have a family meeting, get your kids together and say, okay, what are some things that we want? And that could be anything from, my kids use the Family 401k to buy a hoverboard, to buy an Xbox, to buy a trampoline, or to take a trip. And so it could be stuff that you're going to be spending your money on anyway. But what it does is that rather than you're going to spend your money, you're teaching your kids what the value of saving and taking something and having a goal and putting that out and figuring it out. So trampoline as an example. My kids wanted a trampoline. I did not want one. And so they said, Mom, we had a family meeting and we're going to save for a trampoline. That's going to be our family 401k. So they went online to Amazon, figured out how much a trampoline was. And then what happens is when you give your kids an allowance, they then can take money and put that in the family 401k, and then you give them a match. So for me, when my kids would put in $1, I then would also put in $1. But do whatever fits with your budget. If your kids put in $1, you can put in 25 cents, 50 cents, doesn't matter. Go with what works for your family. But my kids would put in $1, I would put in $1, and then they would just be focused and work together as siblings to come up with the $500 and some that we needed to buy this trampoline. And then we bought the trampoline. It turned out to be the best thing. And it's probably something that I would have purchased anyway, eventually, but it teaches your kids to set a goal, save for that goal, and starts teaching them that when they go get their first job, that when they see a 401k plan, they understand like, oh, wow, I need to put money in that because then someone gives me money. It's quote unquote, free money. So it's encouraging and teaching your kids and having fun at the same time and working together as a family.
I love that because the children are our future. I believe that. Okay, so we got the kids out of the way. Now, let's get back to dating because I think I want to start dating soon. And I was like, I want to talk to Nicole about some of these rules. So you wrote a book about who pays, who does what. Like, what are these rules, Nicole?
Yeah, well, so this is my 5th book, and I never so it's titled Who Pays? Navigating Love and Money. And I got divorced. My world turned upside down 10 years ago today. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and so in 2011, my best friend from college is like, "Hey, I had done a radio show for 5 years, and by that time, I had written 1 book." And he's like, "Hey, you need to write a book on dating and money." And I'm like, "Okay, here I am. Like, I've been married for 13 years. Like, I got married right out of college. Like, I don't know the first thing about dating. Like, I know a lot about money, but what am I supposed to do?" And so it was kind of eventually the way for me to like get out there and start dating, because I used it as an excuse of like, well, I'm doing research. Like this is the way that I can go out and date and be okay, okay with it. And so, but eventually what I found was that my clients, when they heard that I was writing a book on dating and money, they became more vocal and they said, "Nicole, do you realize that you saved our marriage?" Mm-hmm. And so chapter 9 is just a whole chapter of questions that when you're in a relationship, or even what's the relationship with money with yourself, like what's your favorite money memory? Mm-hmm. Or like, if you won $1 million, what would you do with it today? Because the important thing in a relationship is that you're on the same page and that you're communicating about money. So, but to answer your question, who pays? Always the man on the first date. The first date only, but always the man.
Okay, so what happens on the second date?
Second date, well, a great like tease or the way to do it. Like if it's going well and you like the guy, like as he's paying, you're like, my treat next time. And then usually he'll look at you and he'll be like, okay, wow, that's cool. Like 1, she's thanking me for paying. 2, she's asking me out again. And then 3, she's saying she's going to pay for it next time. So, and then it goes from there of your communication. But I wouldn't recommend like asking the guy his credit score or like serious information right away. May not work too well.
Okay, look, this is my therapy. I need some therapy for a minute because okay. Nicole, it's COVID. Where can someone go on a date these days? Everything is closed down. Everything is shut down. I'm so frustrated, but I want to go out and do something.
Right. Outside. So lots of walks. I have a boat, so that's what I've been using. But anything like outside, and there are a few places, like I have the Live It list, which is basically the bucket list, and I do 1 thing a month. And so log rolling is one of the things that I have not done yet, and that's still available to do because it's out, it's outside. So there's activities and things, still that are out there that are available to you, but a lot of the stuff is, outside is really the best place to be.
Nicole, I was with you. We was on the same page, the family 401k fund. He pays for the first day. You lost me at log rolling. So I'm going to have to come back to you. Okay.
You're not going to jump in that
one? No. I'm going to move over to the next guest and hopefully they can solve my problem. See, I made a new friend this weekend because Nicole wasn't around. Richard Kaye, our next guest, I feel like we spent the whole weekend together. He is the author of the highly acclaimed book, The Secrets of Creating Customers for Life, and he is a faculty member of CEO Space. Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm wonderful.
I love the log rolling. I was up on Vancouver Island many, many years ago, and they weren't log rolling, but it was a logging place, watching the logs come down the river. good luck if you want to get on those things.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's like plastic and it's like chained to a pool on each side.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, no, this is no like axe like thing like that.
I don't know though, because to me, a first date in the middle of COVID in water, it just to me doesn't sound like it makes for that, something is bound to go wrong, especially with I'm
Maybe
telling
it's
you.
a second date or a third date then.
Maybe. Richard, we talked all weekend. You told me about so many different things. I was excited. And I usually don't have a lot of conversations, but it was just something about you, your energy, everything that you're doing. I wanted to get you on the show as soon as possible. Please let everyone know how amazing you are. Go ahead and toot your own horn.
Well, it is shameless self-promotion. No, my company, I'm curious, who has heard of CEO Space?
I have.
You have, yeah, we talked a lot about it. Oh,
Okay.
Great. It's so interesting. I'm a retired chiropractor. I spent 30 years in San Diego, and I came across this organization. I was famous out there. 6:30 News, morning television talk show for about a year, San Diego Tribune, Los Angeles Times. And this is what I said to Sharifa. I said, I was a legend, yeah, in my own mind. And I heard about this business conference. I don't need this stuff, because I thought I was cool. Well, over the next 9 months, my practice doubled. Short story, a couple of years later, shut my practice, moved to Taos, New Mexico. I already owned 80 acres here, took a year off, said, I can't retire. We've been around for over 3 decades, and we only do one thing, and that's grow businesses. Some of you have heard of people who have come through us, or companies. Some of you have heard of Lisa Nichols. She got started with us. She had no idea what she was doing when she came to us. We launched Chicken Soup for the Soul, airborne, that you see at every checkout counter, your grocery type store. That young lady sold that for $500 million. That changed her life a little bit. So we have fun. And Nicole, we've got more best-selling books that come out of us than any place else. As a matter of fact, one of my faculty members, who I will invite here also, got 2 authors, 6-figure advances on books. They hadn't written a word yet. So we're a fun place. And so that's what I do. And living here in Taos, we don't have log rolling. We're at 7,200 feet. It's ski country, and it's gorgeous out here. So if you want to wait 10 years or 8 years, Nicole, it's a fun place to be. Have you been here before?
No, I haven't. My plan is Florida, because I plan to open up an office in Florida and then buy a commercial building and buy a house down there. So
Love you.
need to be by water.
By water, yeah. We have the Rio Grande River here. That's it. So it's a fun place. And Sharifa, when I called you, I said, okay, we're going to explore how to play together, and that's what led to this. And,
Absolutely.
We have fun. And later on, I've got some things to give away to the people who actually watch your show. Some wonderful, I don't want to call them rewards, but gifts for people, because we're about contribution. And Inc. and Forbes and London Financial Times say, this is the conference you cannot afford to miss. They say it just costs too much to miss us. So what else would you like to know?
I would like to know, what I would like to know is, your company is CEO Space, and often CEOs starting out don't feel like they have a place or a space for them to speak to people of like mind. I think that's one of the reasons, CEOs are concerned about coming on the Roundtable Talk Show, because you may have a CEO who is next to an author who just wrote one ebook. So sometimes people want to be on the same level, and you want to have conversations with people who are, again, of like mind. What are some of the benefits and the reasons why you feel CEOs come into your community?
That's an outstanding question.
Thank you.
Everyone is a CEO. And I'll tell you, when I heard about this space, I said, well, I'm not a CEO. And someone wisely pointed out, you're a CEO of your own life. I had a chiropractic practice. That was me. And as we talked the other day, I have a BS degree in business management. That's just what it is. It's BS. I learned how to go have a job in middle management with a BS. Well, at CEO Space, Sharifa, everyone is equal. We even play some games when we go back to doing physical events where you can have a single divorced mom with a child sitting next to a billionaire, and there's no hierarchy. Bob Proctor once said, CEO Space is not a business conference. It's a personal growth conference. Who do you have to be to sit down and have lunch with Bob Proctor or Sharon Lechter or Les Brown or some of these people? So you get to hang out with people on an equal playing field. And people have raised over $3 billion using the resources that we provide. And you know, it's a great question. Everyone is equal. And here's something to consider. That's not true. Every one of us plays a role in life. Nicole, part of your role is a parent. Part of your role is teaching 401s. Sharifa, right now your role is an interviewer. There are 5 of us here. We're playing the role of guests. What if you showed up as a soul instead of playing a role? And you connected with people on a soul level. Your connections will be richer and deeper. Anyone who sells anything, if you're selling and you're a salesperson, and the other person, their role is a prospective client, show up as a soul in life and watch how your relationships connect. Nicole, I don't know anyone else here, and I marginally know you got a couple of kids. Sometimes you show up in a role as a mother. I suspect most of the time, just listening to you and watching you, that you show up as a soul with the kids, and it allows them to bear their souls and be a soul around you. And that's the much richer part of connection. And that's part of what CEO Space is. We strip away the titles. I mean, for example, as a young man, Sharifa, we may have talked about him, a fellow named Alex Stern. Most people don't know who he is. And he talks about his company didn't start in the garage like Gates or Jobs. No, it started in somebody's attic. They sold Constant Contact for $1.3 billion. Who do you have to be to sit down and have a conversation with Alec? He's just a beautiful soul about sharing and growing and helping people grow businesses. That's one of the reasons why we have thrived for over 3 decades.
I think that is wonderful. We're going to come back to you, Richard, because I have more questions. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. And like I said earlier, we might have to partner. Hardy Brooklyn, Hardy and Hardy, a new company, but Hardy Brooklyn is a serial entrepreneur, and he's going to tell us some of his wisdom this morning. Good morning, Hardy. How are you?
Morning. Welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
I found out about this show through a previous guest that was on, the Sharktress. She introduced me to the show and felt that I had a lot of interesting feedback to give in the open discussion as well as talking about me. So I'm a serial entrepreneur, and the one thing that I found in every single business action venture that I've done is that believe in yourself and believe in your gut. When I'm life coaching my clients, a lot of what I've learned to do with them, and I continue to do, is I kind of ask questions to figure out why they're feeling the way they're feeling and what the triggers are that's causing them to act the way they are and what those limiting beliefs are. And why am I not doing it? Why am I not accomplishing the goal? Why am I not becoming successful in the business? What's preventing me from having family time? What's preventing me from seeing my parents? What's preventing me from moving forward in life in a way that I want to? Is it fear? Is it my mom's voice in my head? Is it I really just don't want to be around the family members? So I ask deep questions to figure out what is the root behind the problem so that we can then figure out a way of changing that script in your mind, or putting another storyline in that's going to allow me to get through it. So the first thing I tell people is when you're getting stuck, when you're not moving forward, take a deep breath and see how your stomach is feeling, because our stomach and our body is going to be the first thing that gives us notification or say things like, when you're out on a date and you don't really want to go back with that guy or that girl, what's the first thing in your body that's telling you that? And then how do I put a boundary up and successfully move forward and work with that?
That makes sense. Okay. So then I need some more therapy. So let's go back to the dating, right? I get a whole hour of free therapy from 5 people. Travis doesn't look like he wants to give me therapy, but I work on everybody. Travis will be fine. So Hardy, look, this is what I'm saying. It is a global quarantine. I have been stuck in the house since March. Nothing in California is open. I want to go on a date. I need to check in with myself to see how I feel, and then what?
So I actually have been going to beach parties because in New York, we are already back to opening a lot of things up. And
Mm-mm.
what I've been working with clients is that if you want to go to the beach, if you want to go to the park, if you want to go for a walk with somebody, and you are okay with that, you have to figure out what your tolerances are. So
Mhm.
I am okay going to a beach party with people as long as everybody was masked, that was not in the water, and there was somebody that was there that was actually enforcing that masking. So it's whatever your tolerances are. And then I tell people that there are ways of still making out, still kissing, still having touch. You can wear rubber gloves when you go out on a date, surgical gloves, and then take them off if you treat them properly. You can go out and buy the #1 product in the world called saran wrap. And then you can actually kiss someone because you put the piece of saran wrap between you. So you've created essentially a dental dam. If you want to get eaten out, you can take that piece of saran wrap.
It is Wednesday and Tuesday morning on a beautiful Tuesday. It is just wonderful here today. Just wonderful. I love my job. I love what I do. I will be right back with you, Hardy. I just need to introduce our next guest. Linda Baruta is here with us today. She helps people with light bulb moments and planning business strategy. Good morning, Linda. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
You are so welcome. Thank you for joining us. Are you having fun yet?
I am. This is already a great conversation. I can't get that visual of the saran wrap out of my head though.
That's why we went to you, Linda. Don't take us back. You can't take us backwards. We left for a reason.
Oh,
Tell us about yourself, Linda, who you are, what you do.
oh, well, I do many things. But right now I am an artist income strategist.
Okay.
And what that means is right now, especially with COVID, I am spending a great deal of time teaching people who are in the arts and crafts industry how to go from selling in person to selling online.
Mhm.
And what's really ironic is that this happened to me back in late 2014. I had a brick and mortar shop of my own where I taught art classes, mixed media art, had my own product line that I had developed, had it in other retail shops, also in consignment, and was featured on Zulily a couple times. And then my husband's job had us packing up and moving 3 hours away.
Mhm.
So had to shut down my brick and mortar, lost all my opportunity, not to mention friends. And, I had lived in the area my whole life. And it really became just the beginning of my journey to take the skills that I had prior to having my brick and mortar, which was as a PC consultant,
Mhm.
use my technical skills and learn how to really run your business online.
Mhm.
So I really am passionate. I'm still an avid artist and maker. And so I love working with those people and showing them, teaching them the ropes of getting online and making it really happen for them.
Mhm.
And it's a whole process they have to go through. Coming up in September, I have a totally free online summit, which is called Artists Ascending. And basically, I am featuring 10 other speakers that are great professionals in the online world. And each one of them is going to be providing a specific actionable tip for them to help them in that process.
So that's wonderful. But let me ask you, did you see Nicole's family 401k fund? Did you see the box?
Yes, I love it.
It is beautiful.
Yes, and I'm glad that she's selling them.
Yes, we have to get it into more places, do a story about it. One of the reasons I really love the box is because I always believe that there are cemeteries full of $1 million ideas, that people take those ideas to their grave, and we get them all day. That's why I love the idea that you mentioned, that you pull out light bulb moments. Talk a little bit about the light bulb moment, but we don't always take those and make them into action. That's why I love the box so much with Nicole. But tell us about the light bulb moments, Linda, please.
Well, I had a great one a couple weeks ago, and it actually was a client of mine. I was building her brand new online course site because she sells stamp sets. And so what she did though, so as I was getting this all together and we were having a conversation, she tells me, well, she's already sold over 40 of positions in her course, her online course. And I said, well, how did you do that? And she says, well, I just went on Facebook and I showed them the stamp set and told them about it. And along with the purchase of the set, they will get free access to this course. So she pre-sold her online course, which is a wonderful way of testing out your ideas, just before you invest the money in doing something, test it out. I actually just sent that email out to my audience this week to tell them, hey, if you're like afraid to pull the trigger, just test it out. It's not going to cost you. Show people what you have, see what kind of interest you get in it. By pre-selling it, she already knows that, and I just checked with her the other day. She's that number is up to 60. You know what I mean? So light bulb moments. Yeah.
Wonderful. Richard, have you ever done that? Have you ever pre-sold things or had those light bulb moments?
Life is full of light bulb moments. Unfortunately, too many people turn the dimmer down on them. So yeah, it's heck, my retiring from chiropractic, it was a download. It's okay, really? So yeah, it changed my life forever. And buying 80 acres, it's like, did you really just do that? Yeah, that was a great light bulb moment.
We all have those. I'm going to ask our next guest, Mr. Travis Tooke, if he has a light bulb moment. And Travis is the owner of Team Tooke Mixed Martial Arts. He's also an author. Good morning, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. You having fun yet?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. This is my first time on the show, so I didn't know what to expect, but it's I've got like 8 new ideas from everyone so far, so it's good.
Okay, I don't know if you saw the contract where I get royalties from any ideas that are obtained during the course of the Roundtable Talk Show.
Well, I'm going to steal the 401k, although I don't have kids, but my wife keeps asking me to get her this really overpriced purse that I think is like not a good investment, but I might see if she wants to match, and then like we buy it together. So I don't think she's going to go for that idea at all.
I think she will if you let Nicole explain it to her. Just get a new box.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's the Louis Vuitton bag, and that actually is a must. I even own one.
Yes, that's the one. Wow, that's the most important item in her life.
Yeah, it is. Like I put off buying one forever because I'm like, I'm a financial planner. This isn't a wise way to spend money. Yeah. But with all my travels, I put my purse inside of it, and then I've got all my work. Like seriously, it's a lifesaver.
So you're not going to be the one to talk her out of it then?
I wouldn't
Okay.
talk her out of it, but I'd help her buy it rationally.
Fair enough.
See, I think that's a win-win situation. Tell us about what you do, Travis.
Well, I was just kind of a kid that fell in love with a particular martial arts when I was around 15. I don't think I had business in my blood necessarily. Didn't come from a family that had any entrepreneurs in it. I just really enjoyed something that I found and didn't have the resources to go to college. So I just sort of post college worked a few jobs, and I had the opportunity to go live in Brazil, which for me that's kind of like the motherland of the art that we do. It's called Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. So I got to go live there for a year, which was one of the best experiences of my life. It's where I met my wife and really got to, you know, bump my skill up. When I moved back, yeah, I didn't know anything about business, no degree, hadn't done much research, and no income to speak of. But I had my dad's garage. He said you can teach there. So I had a mat and a garage and no air conditioner, and that's where I started. And very quickly learned that I needed to learn a little more, educate myself. So although I didn't have a formal education, I just started reading and pouring my time into learning whatever I could. And as I grew the business little by little, I just fortunately found, knew the value of investing in my education and mentors. Once I started getting those, then things really started to take off for me. And so fast forward to today, like in late 2016, was able to buy some land, build an 8,000 square foot building. We have 300 students. We're one of the largest, jiu-jitsu academies in Texas. And yeah, and the business side is just something I fell in love with. Like it was a challenge, and a lot of the lessons I learned from martial arts, the diligence and the dedication and work ethic required to succeed on the mat, apply to to what I've had to do here. And I think Linda, you mentioned like those light bulb moments that people have, and that's kind of one of my favorite parts about being an instructor. When I was younger, it was a little more selfish. I like it, I want to do it, and I want to try to do it for the rest of my life. And now it's really been about finding a way to have the students have those moments on the mat. And it's not just that they learn the move. I mean, that's cool, but it's like their level of confidence and self-belief goes up with that moment. And so
Yes.
then you'll see how they apply this confidence to the job that they want to get, the education they want to pursue, and just who they are as a person. And so it's evolved to that. And that's really what we're about, if I had to summarize, about empowering people to become who they want to be. And martial arts is just the vehicle for that. So,
And that's what I love, just overall with teaching. When I was teaching people art, they'd come in and they would want to copy what I did exactly, but they were so intimidated by it. And I would just have to spend a little time encouraging them to be themselves, and it's okay. You can just try it. And oh my gosh, you don't like it? We paint right over it, start
Right.
over. No big deal,
Well, there's also
So-
the expectation that they should be good right away somehow.
Yes.
And it's like, look, you've never done it before. I was not very good my first day. So let's just walk out of here taking something with you, not trying to be better than the students that have been here for years.
Exactly. And that seeing them light up when they leave and they realize what they accomplished, and they're so proud and they can't wait to show everybody what
Oh,
they
yeah.
made.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they'll carry that energy with them, outside the doors of the facility. It's not isolated to just the activity. They start
Right.
thinking about other activities in that manner. Like, well, what if I apply this open-minded, approach to something, and it's okay if I make a mistake and I just try again. And then pretty soon they become a different person than they were when they walked in the door. So that's
Yes.
the most
exactly.
rewarding part of it, is just watching that happen all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Hardy?
Yeah, I recommended a client to do a mixed martial arts program just because he had zero self-discipline.
Yeah.
And just watching him change, he actually never gained the ability to fight or do any of the mixed martial arts without hurting himself. But he was able to actually take care of the structure in his life as far as the training routine, and I have to do A to get to B and to get to C. And that was actually what helped a lot for him. Was his aha moment was, hey, I'm never going to be strong enough to do the things that I thought I wanted to do for whatever reason that is, but I can create structure in my life that I need to make me happier in the world that I'm living in.
Yeah. And I think you have to go to a point, this is why exercise and physical training is so valuable. It's important to get to a place of discomfort often enough that you become used to it. You get used to just to not getting comfortable or settling down, and that carries over to your work ethic and everything you do. And we tend to run away from discomfort, but you need a little bit on a regular basis to keep you growing and changing.
Right.
It also helps. Go ahead, Nicole. I'm sorry.
One of my favorite phrases is get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah. It also helps with people being bullied. You know, they don't have the confidence to stand up for themselves. They don't know if they can protect themselves. I remember being a kid, my dad sent us to karate class. I only went to like a green belt, and I don't remember half of that, but it still helped me with my confidence. It still helped me in knowing that if somebody would try to come up against me, I still know how to protect myself. Do you find that a lot of students have been, maybe not even a lot, but students have been bullied, and that's one of the reasons why they this is so important to them?
That's a big reason why parents bring their children in, is because bullying is a problem, and it does happen often. And you know, they learn the techniques to physically defend themselves if that happens. But the reality is, bullies target kids that shy away and walk with poor posture and low confidence. It's just the way it is. Kids that speak their mind and stand tall with their shoulders back are just not targeted by bullies. It's just not something that happens nearly as often. So typically when you correct the confidence, the bullying fades out. And in the rare instance where they actually get into an altercation, they're well prepared. But that's really what you're correcting, is just the child's belief in themselves, their ability to speak clearly and assertively and walk with confidence. And then the bullying kind of fades out.
I think that's wonderful advice. Richard, what are your thoughts on that?
There we go. You know, as a retired chiropractor, I'm listening. There are physiological reasons when people have posture that, you know, it's like that. And when, Travis, what you do is you help people change not just the structure, but the psychology. You know, form follows function. So when someone is standing, if any of us are in a room and someone walks in, you know, and they're kind of like this, you may not give that person a lot of attention. When someone walks into the room and their shoulders are up and their head is on straight, that person is more energy rich and will actually command the attention. Look at most of your people on platforms, on stages, from Tony Robbins, any of them. They command that room. And if you look at their posture, they're not military, but you can tell that there's a core strength in there. And Travis, that's a little bit that I know about the martial arts. That's what you're helping contribute to people, is that core strength. So good for you for doing that.
It's funny that you mentioned that. On the first lesson, like we do an introductory lesson, a one-on-one, and many of these new students are kids. So the kid will come in and they'll meet with our instructor, and the parents are there. And that's the first thing that we have the child do when they step on the mat is, stand tall at attention. And what happens is the parents who may have been on their phone at the time or not really paying attention, they all just kind of subconsciously do that. You know, it's just the reaction. So it's contagious when the people around you are doing it too. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you want to plug right into that. years ago when I worked with a personal trainer. He was really interesting. He says, how many people try and stick their chest out? There's no, just bring your shoulder blades together ½ inch. And the change in posture from that is profound. You don't have to stick your chest out. You just bring your shoulder blades back. And it automatically, again, brings that core where you have that internal strength. And sometimes you feel you can do anything. And the kids particularly you work with, it would be interesting to follow any cohort coming from that slumped over place into that self-power, not to beat up other kids, but it makes sense that if someone's standing tall, they're not going to be a target as a grown-up as well as a little kid. So good for
in them as youth. But I want to go over to Hardy for a moment. Confidence is one of those things with entrepreneurs that we have to have in order to keep going. We have struggles. We have people telling us no, that we can't do it, to give up. But there's something inside of us, at least I believe, that is like, no, I have to go on this path. We try to get jobs. I was laid off 8 times, but I wound up right here working, right here with you guys. Have you seen that in your being a serial entrepreneur in your journey, the ups, the downs, taking the confidence to see it through?
I have. I've had issues where I've lost my own confidence because the people around me have very different systems. And that's typically when I've had my own confidence deflated, where I have certain values that I portray as far as how I interact and how I treat other people. And when I've had clients that, especially big clients that give me a lot of money, that are fundamentally different in their belief system and then start treating me like their belief system and putting me down, they're okay paying me for doing the work, but they never give me credit for the work. And that's where I started to see my confidence wane and deplete. And over the time, I've kind of worked with myself and with other people to kind of say that that's not really me, that the confidence is being depleted. When somebody's doing that to you, it's usually their own personal fear and their own personal inadequacy. And over time, when I've looked at it and I've become a little bit more in touch with it, I used to work with clients like GE, Siemens, Con Edison, Florida Power and Light, most big electrical companies in this country, working on their back end yucky stuff. And because of who I was and my persona, I was different from them. So I never got the same respect. So my confidence was constantly being diminished. Oh, we don't do that. Or going to a concert, oh, you do that when you're a teenager. You don't do that when you're older. And a lot of things that I did, whatever those activities were, and you can look at my online space and kind of see what some of them were. And a lot of them were pure autistic. And most of society was okay with it. But because I was different from them, I was constantly put down. And I had a huge aha moment when I decided that I was not going to work for people like that anymore. That if there was a fundamental difference and they were depleting me either with the task that they were asking me to do or the way that they were treating me during the task, I didn't need them anymore, even if they were my major income, because it was more important to me to have a healthy body and work through all my hip issues and my back issues and the arthritis. And in hindsight, I think that all those body issues were for me not addressing them, respecting me, and which created a lot of the internal turmoil that my body then responded to and finally said, hey, you got to stop doing that, because my body was saying something that my mind was fighting because I was chasing money, and chasing acceptance where it would never have come there.
I think that there was so much information in that, and what you said, I can completely relate. We go through those periods in time where we doubt ourselves. Again, being laid off 8 times, there were moments where I was like, okay, Sharifa, I don't know what you're supposed to do, but doors open and I wound up on this journey. Nicole, one of the things that you mentioned earlier is that you were divorced, I believe 13 years ago. Was it 10 years ago today? Something?
Well, 10 years ago today, a warrant was put out for my ex-husband's arrest. So it all started. But legally, I got my degree in 2012. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to give you a big virtual hug. Like, I'm just so sorry. But
well, out of the worst things in life come some of the best. really. And that's where, I'm, so many people are like, how are you not angry? I'm like, that doesn't serve you. Like, really, you look at yourself, and I'm a better business owner, a better mom, a better person. I've learned so much from those experiences. And so that's where it's like, you take the bad things, bad things happen to everyone. It's how do you react to those things? How your reaction is what you can control. And that's what you should focus on.
Was there an aha moment for you though, in that time when you had that shift to where you're like, okay, let me focus on being a better businesswoman, or just simply being a businesswoman and not kind of what some people do and just wallow in self-pity?
Yeah, I mean, I always had lists. So my daughter was 6 months old and my son was 2, and I got them to bed. And I'm like, how did I end up here? Like, my parents, were still married, still are to this day. I was raised, private Catholic school, all these great, strong morals and values. How did I end up in this situation? And so, and I thought back to like, okay, when I was younger, what were some of the tools and things that always served me? And I was a figure skater, and one of my coaches had a PhD in psychology. So she worked a lot with the power of the mind. And I always had lists. And so I rewrote my bucket list, and I said, okay, I'm going to do one thing a month for a year, and just committed to myself. And so I met with my best friend from college and said, hey, here's my list, and I want to drive a race car. And so will you go up to northern Minnesota with me and drive a race car? And he's like, look, Nick, anything you do, you don't just put 100% into it. You put 180. You need to go to like a real speedway. So I hopped on a plane, flew to Vegas to drive a race car. And you know how you get on a plane and someone like has to talk to you the whole time? I had that gentleman, and he just couldn't understand why I was flying to Vegas to drive a race car and why I was not going to Vegas to gamble. I'm like, and eventually I said, look, I'm a financial advisor. I gamble with people's money every single day. I don't know you need to go to Vegas to gamble. But eventually I said, look, I redid my bucket list, and I'm doing one thing a month for a year. And he got quiet finally. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. He's like, you're so young. Is it cancer? And so when I landed, I texted Catherine, my chief marketing officer. I said, I can't do this. Like, I can't go around doing one thing a month for a year, telling people that I'm doing something on my bucket list because I think I'm dying. I'm like, yes, I am when I'm 104, but not today. And so we came up with the Live It list, and we trademarked it. And I continued to do one thing a month. I still do that to this day. And I then learned that 1 in 3 Americans is happy. I learned that if you spend more money on experiences, you're going to be happier than if you spend money on things. And so this tool that I just used for me to get me out of this bad place that I was in is now part of our financial planning. And it's all about inspiring people that, yes, we'll help you get to retirement and the kids to college, but what really drives you? What's on your Live It list? Like, what really makes you happy? And so it's only been like really like 3 years that I finally was like, oh my gosh, like this is the reason. Like, cause I never planned on being a financial advisor, like my career path, but it all makes sense now. And it was really only about 3 years ago where it really kind of, I started my own foundation. We grant Live It list experiences. When all of that started happening, that's where I'm like, wow, this is what's meant to be.
I think that's wonderful. Linda, you have something on your Live It list? Maybe you can, get it granted by Nicole.
Yeah.
Log rolling.
No log rolling.
No, I was thinking about that, and when you were saying that, and I was like, I don't think I've ever thought about doing half of the things that you've done. I mean, like, I'm somebody who has never traveled outside the country, and I'm just a homebody, right? And so it's gonna take me a while to think on that.
Okay, well, when you do, be sure to go to Nicole's website, send her an email, and let her know what you come up with. I am more like Nicole. I think I'm spoiled because my first job out of high school was working for TWA, for Trans World Airlines. So I spent 4 years on a plane every other weekend to everywhere in the nation. And now people are like, oh, let's take a trip. I'm like, no, I'm not going. Like, you don't want to fly? I'm like, okay, first of all, I have to pay and I'm in coach. No, like I'm used to flying free first class. I am not going on this trip with you. So yes, I love to travel. I just love to just pick a destination. I would be like Richard, buying some land and doing some things. I don't know. You like to travel, Richard?
Absolutely. And Nicole, I love the Live It list. That is absolutely awesome. You know, everyone talks about what do you want to do before you die and make it a bucket list. It's an energy rich state. Live instead of looking to die. So that's, yeah, I mean, I've taught in Russia, I've taught in Australia, taught in Japan, just, you know, it's wonderful when they pay you to go and teach. That's always good. So, did Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny up in the Gold Coast, that we paid for. So, but yeah, traveling is, it's wonderful. And I understand your perspective, Sharifa. You know, they paid you, you have first class, you don't want to go to Australia, coach. It's, well, yeah, so.
No, I don't. And it's funny because my brother lives in Australia and he's been there since 2005. And he keeps asking me to come see him, come see Australia. And I'm like, it is a 14-hour flight. I don't have 14 hours worth of love for you. Okay. I only have about like 4 hours. You know what I mean? Like that's all I got. But he comes here every year, guys. Don't be too harsh. Don't judge me. I see him every year and there's always Zoom, right?
That's right.
Always Zoom.
Oh yeah,
Me?
the new Zoom world.
Yes.
Now
Travis, go ahead, Hardy. Or Richard. I don't know who's talking.
No, go ahead, Hardy, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's the new Zoom world, and for a lot of people, it's a very different type of interaction. Zoom is way more draining than in person mentally for your body, just because the way you have to work. And I still feel a great value in that interpersonal, the way that you can do it, distancing, and how you can do it. And it's going to be something that as business people and as consultants and coaches, we're going to have to really address, because I don't see this changing anytime soon, because the way that we act as humans, there's another one right behind it. And we're just going to keep creating these things because of how we're treating each other and treating the planet. And I've done some research, I have clients in the medical space, and they're like, the clinic I go to is like, listen, I wouldn't touch any vaccine until September the earliest, because it's not really tested, and they're going through pros and cons. And they're highlighting that you have to learn what your tolerances are and how you're going to be able to function in a world that's very different than it was a year ago. Because I don't see kids ever going to school again without wearing a mask in the classroom.
I think that's a very interesting conversation. I think that's a conversation I would love to have with you, Hardy. So you know what that means? You have to come back, asksharifa.com, be a guest, because we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of each and every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching live and everyone who is watching it in the archives, and simply let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we are going to start with you, Travis.
All right. Completely unprepared for that, but I'll wing it and see what I can do. I would just encourage anyone watching to just follow any passion that you have, regardless of whether or not it's going to be your career or the thing that pays you. I think Nicole talked about experience in life, and that being the most rewarding moment, not just the income that comes with, advancing your career. And we talked about traveling, and that's been a big part of my life that I've enjoyed. I've been able to go all over the world, and recently went to Africa for the first time, where we set up like a first jiu-jitsu school in Zambia, which was an amazing experience. And so I would do jiu-jitsu if I had another 9-to-5 job and it wasn't the thing that paid me. And I think that's missing in a lot of people's lives. So, well, I can't do that anymore because that's what I loved when I was a kid. Now I'm an adult. And it's the worst way to think. You need to, if you like music, then always play your instruments. If you like to travel, find a way to travel. Whatever your craft or wherever you derive, joy, you have to do it. So that would be what I would, I guess, give to anyone is don't ever think you're completely grown up. Be a child at heart and do what you love.
Definitely words to live by. I appreciate that. Thank you, Travis. Linda, what do you have for us?
Well, I really love what Travis said, and I really agree with him wholeheartedly. The takeaway I want to give people is that don't let something like this pandemic stop you from living out your dreams. You know, whether it's a live it list or it's a new career or pivoting that career so that it works in today's world, do it. Don't let something stop you. There are so many people. Look at all the people that Sharifa has on here that have great advice and tips for you. You know, the information is out there. And if you're anyone like any of us, you know, we love to share and to see others succeed. Like Travis said, even if he wasn't making his living doing his martial arts, he still would. I feel the exact same way about helping people. So yeah, take that.
Thank you, Linda. Hardy, what do you have for us?
I think the biggest takeaway is that since I've transitioned into being a life coach, I really think that when you can figure out who you really are and what your true passion is, that's kind of the most important thing for people to figure out, is that you need to be who you want to be, not what your mom wants to be, not what your priest wants you to be. You want to figure out what your essence is to make you feel, and ask the questions of yourself about that on a personal and business level. And I
Mhm.
really,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and I think that that helps people become enlightened, and they have to not really downplay themselves and not think that what you want to do is not wrong. A lot of people think it's wrong, but if you leave America and you go to Australia or you go to Africa, things that we think are disgusting and wrong and horrible and should never be a career are very successful in other parts of the world. And we have to look at things from the context that we exist in and be able to keep our respect even when it's diminished.
I agree. Keep our respect even when it's diminished. And then if not, you move to the wasteland. No, I'm just kidding. Nicole, what do you have for us?
I would say come up with a live it list. Write down one thing a month that you're going to do for a year, because it will be amazing what will happen from it. And then follow your passion, because just like what Travis said, you know, the whole goal is that you never work a day in your life and that you really do what you love. And if you do what you love, the money will follow. And along the way, give yourself a lot of grace.
I think that is beautiful. Grace. Yes, there for the grace of God go I. Richard, what do you have for us? Go ahead and close this show.
Sharifa, first, I want to acknowledge you for putting together an amazing array. You know, none of us knew each other before. We're now 1 hour old friends. This is great. So a couple of things I want to offer your viewers. CEO Space is a place of collaboration and cooperation. My hourly fee is $275. I want to offer viewers an opportunity to explore in business what it takes to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be in your business. Get through this pandemic and thrive. richardkaye.com/talk, RICHARDKAYE.com/talk. You go on to my calendar and we'll set some time aside. Some of our faculty members are people that many of you have heard. Three in particular right now: Lisa Nichols, Mark Victor Hansen, and Bob Proctor. When we sell their keynote talks, they sell for $500. This is a gift to everyone watching this show. And the link is thebusiness.space/talk show, TALKSHOW, lowercase. And ladies and gentlemen, reach out. We will help you. Pandemic prosperity planning is what must happen. We can go down in this stuff, or we can thrive on the other side of it. People who come to CEO Space, you'd be amazed at who you know who has been through us. Sharifa, thank you for the opportunity to meet you. You know, we've had a lot of talk and to meet some amazing people here. And I'll be back. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I look forward to having you back. I look forward to having you all back. But before we get to that, thank you for being here today. Let's start with that. I appreciate you all. I've enjoyed this conversation. I also want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, and also everyone who's watching in the archives. You're still important, whether you're watching it 2 days from now, 2 months from now, 20 years from now. It doesn't matter. I appreciate your support, but don't just watch the show. Please go ahead and visit the guests. Go to their websites, take a look at their books, sign up for some classes, book a session. I want you to be as informed as our guest. And who knows, you might want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show. Visit the website at asksharifa.com. Until tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.